Hello and welcome back to House of Football. I am your host, Graham O'Toole. We are joined by the producer to keep us on the straight and narrow, Mr. Enda Call. And they are the York and Cole of House and Football. I'll let you decide which one is which. Jonathan Morley, Nasty, welcome back to House of Football. There's only one place to start. Last night, Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Jonathan, can you describe your feeling when Son was running one-on-one against Ortega? Did you think that was the moment that was going to get Arsenal back into the title race? They're still in the title race, but put it back in their hands.
I was sure he was going to score. I wanted him to score. I think City winning league after league isn't good at all for English football. I genuinely really wanted Arsenal to win this league after obviously Liverpool were out of that title race. And straight away when Son was through on goal, I had deja vu of the amount of times Son has scored against Liverpool down the years. And a chance like that is just his bread and butter. Yeah. I mean, that is so easy. I was just expecting the net to bulge at any second. But obviously it didn't happen. And I thought it was really weird because I've watched it back so many times since. That ball was going wide. And it's just, I don't know, it's just a bit weird.
A bit of a conspiracy theory going on here now, Jonathan. Come on now.
I don't think it's a conspiracy theory. Because Spurs had a goal last night, fair play to them. There was no question that their heart was in it last night, that Spurs team and Ange, etc., etc. But that was strange from Son. That was strange. It buys into that whole mentality that you've been seeing over the last few days that, did Spurs really want to get something from that game? I don't think he missed it on purpose, but the finish was weird. I mean, as I said, that's his bread and butter. And ultimately, if Ortega doesn't save that ball is going wide.
Did you have PTSD for a title decider match? Demba Ba running through, Akanji making a bit of a mess up like Gerrard slip, except Mignolet didn't save it like Ortega.
No, yeah, I mean, under his legs as well, which makes it even worse. But yeah, I suppose afterwards, kind of looking at Twitter and that, I seen a lot of Arsenal fans and City fans talking about that. But yeah, obviously, when it came to Demba Ba back in 2014, he took his chance, but Son didn't last night.
Nasty. Ange had a bit of a rant after the game talking about the foundations, mate, not good. Not happy at all about, well, he didn't really say it out there, but I think he was alluding to the fact that a lot of Spurs fans didn't want Spurs to win so they could stop Arsenal win the title. What's your opinion of that? Other fans wanting their team to lose to affect their biggest rivals.
Yeah, I mean, it is a strange one for him to say, especially after, just losing to one of the best teams, the best team in the league, if not the world. But yeah, usually you don't see managers get too involved in that side of things. They leave it to the fans, but it is one that divides a lot of opinions. I know myself, if I was United in Spurs' shoes there, and we still had Champions League to play for, I'm probably going to want them to win. If it's a situation where United have nothing to play for, like absolutely nothing, and you have the opportunity in front of you to stop your biggest rivals winning, then perhaps. But if there's still anything on the table, you want your side to win before you start thinking about anybody else.
You are probably the main person in the studio, Enda, who has a bit of history with Ange as a Celtic supporter. Is this kind of out of the blue, or is this very Ange?
No,
his reaction.
It's very Ange. Like he has a win at all costs sort of ideals is what his thing's built on. And you can see at the start of the season, everyone thinks Ange is a bit disingenuous and he's putting on a bit of a character about this thing, but he's not. If you look back, he's incredibly consistent about these things. He even said at the start of the season, like he was asked, would fourth be a good finish? He was like, well, no, because that's fourth. It's not first. So he probably is struggling with the fact that some Spurs fans wanted his team to lose and wanted their team to lose, because you should never want your team to lose, is his sort of ideas. Like if you look, there was actually a video from the sidelines, someone behind the dugout was apparently cheering for Man City, like a Spurs fan was apparently cheering for Man City the entire night, and Ange turns around to him and starts yelling at him. So he was pissed off. And I think the whole chatter and even just the questions that he was being asked over the last couple of weeks have pissed him off royally, and he might be considering right, I've much more work here to do than I thought, if this is what the fan base is saying. Because it's a loser's mentality from Spurs to not want your team to have the best chance of Champions League football.
But everybody would want it though.
No,
everybody would want
see,
it.
I think it was really
strange from Ange.
See, I think it's different if it's Man United or Liverpool or Arsenal or teams that have a history of winning stuff, whereas with Spurs they don't. So it's like it's just this loser mentality of, oh well, like I mean, we can't let Arsenal win the league because then that's Arsenal.
But you have to put into perspective. For example, if Spurs got something from that game last night, I would say, in all the kind of embarrassing Spursy moments down the years, that would have been, I would say, the most embarrassing, without doubt. That is never going to end if Spurs get something from that game last night. I'm 26. If that happened last night, I would know in my heart of hearts that I'd be hearing about that until the day I die. That would be over Spurs forever. That you handed the title to Arsenal.
But you know why that is? But you know why it's important though? It's important because Spurs.
They would have had a good chance of it, I would say.
Well,
Villa away to Palace on the last day is a very losable game.
It is.
And they're home to Sheffield United. Spurs are.
If they won last night, but let's face it, they never looked like winning last night. I think Spurs lost in the perfect way last night. They gave it a good go. There was certainly no hint of them not trying or not putting in 100% effort into that game. City ultimately, they made things very difficult for City, and City ultimately showed their everlasting quality to get the 3 points. I think Spurs did their fans proud last night, to be quite honest.
The players were fine. It's more the fan base mentality, and I think that mentality doesn't exist if Spurs had a winning mentality in the first place. Is sort of where Ange coming from. Like, it doesn't, like, Arsenal wouldn't be able to hold that over Spurs fans for all of time if Spurs were actually challenging for things, but they're not. But so then it's really this thing is like, oh, we'd rather see Arsenal do badly just because we're doing badly as well, as opposed to wanting your team to do well.
It wasn't about that though.
It was.
It
wasn't
that's
about
that.
That's what it was.
It wasn't. It was as simple as this: Spurs. If you get something from this game, Arsenal are going to win the league. There's absolutely no chance that Arsenal don't beat Everton on the last day. Spurs, it's down to you. If you end up putting in a good performance, getting something from this game, you are literally handing the title to your biggest rivals. It's as simple as that.
I don't think it's as easy as that, Jonathan. I really don't.
I think it's a petty mentality.
There was so much to play for at the end of the season. So much. You got, as you said, Nasty, away to Palace. Palace are in incredible form. And also, Everton are in pretty good form as well. They've won 3 of their last 3 games.
They're not getting anything
so
at the Emirates.
it's not guaranteed that Arsenal win that game. It 100% isn't.
Stranger things have happened.
But, like, it wasn't the last game of the season. Like, it was still open. Do you know what I mean? Even if they got the result that they needed, Arsenal weren't going to go to the Emirates and lift the trophy. They still had to put in a performance. And they could have gone away to Palace and lost. So, do you know what I mean?
Well, answer me this question, right? Because we're talking about title races and top 4 races, whatever. Were Spurs in control of top 4 before the game last night?
No.
Were Spurs in control of top 4 if they won that game last night?
No.
So I think.
But it's football. It's the last game of the season. Do you see what happened? Do you see what happened to Arsenal when Liverpool dropped the points at home to Crystal Palace? They shit the bed. They saw that result. It was all going to be in their hands, and then they fecked up 2-0 to Villa.
I think, though, let's give credit to Villa, because Villa can do that. They're a very good side. Even, like, we were poor there on Monday, but I don't think there's many teams in the league that could do that. That mentality. In the last 5 minutes, you're 3-1 down and score 2 goals. They could have won the game. You know, so Villa, that can happen. It's like Liverpool coming up against, I don't know, like even United or something like that. United put in a once-off great performance. You know, that can happen. Bad results happen over the season. I don't think we can go back to that game, really.
I think Villa deserve Champions League football overall in the season because they haven't had a run like Spurs have had since the last 6 weeks or so. But I think from a Spurs perspective, their fans wouldn't care if Arsenal won the league if they genuinely thought they were going to be in a title contention next year. And that's where the Ange has the issue, is that he thinks that the fans do not think that he's building a team capable of winning winning the league. And that's what he wants to do. So if Arsenal win the league this year and Spurs are in contention for the league next year, whether Arsenal have won this league, thanks to Tottenham or not, is irrelevant. So that's where I struggle with it, is that Spurs just think they're going to be, again, 4th, 5th next year, and that's them happy.
I don't think ultimately, though, it's been that bad of a season for Spurs.
It's been pretty good.
I think they built up extremely high expectations. Obviously, they had that run at the start of the season. And then obviously things have fallen off a bit since then. But overall, if you ask me, I wouldn't say they're in that bad of a position. No. They're very unlucky that a Villa side has just turned up this year, been excellent, and has effectively snatched it off them.
If they finished the season as they started it, if they flipped it, it would be so much more positive for Ange. But because of that start, as you said. Let's move to the final weekend of the season. Nasty, do you foresee West Ham getting anything from City? And I just had a look at David Moyes' record against Pep. 15 played, only won 1, and that was in a penalty shootout in the Carabao Cup. Any chance
I
for
remember that game
West
as well.
Ham?
If you ask me off the bat, I'm going to say no, because City are going there. They know. They get the win. They lift the league. There's no team in the entire league that you would put in that position over Man City. But at the same time, as you said, it's football. Anything can happen. You know, Moyes is going in there for potentially, is it confirmed his last game?
Yeah.
Confirmed his last game. You know, he's going to go out all guns blazing. I didn't expect Villa to go 2-0 up against City that season where they ended up winning 3-2 orders. So, you know, strange things can happen. West Ham are certainly not one of the worst teams in the league.
Villa side in good form, though, it has to be said back then.
Yeah.
We had hope. West Ham have been in horrific form. Even Liverpool played at the London Stadium there a few weeks ago. And we were poor, and we should have won that game easily.
Well, speaking of West Ham and David Moyes, like, this is like, they're a team that really, or their fan base annoy me, because like David Moyes,
West Ham.
Yeah, David Moyes has come in. He's won a European trophy. He's gotten them to a semi-final of the Europa League, and his finishes in the table have been like 7th and 8th, I think.
They're going to
On the
finish like
budget,
9th this
yeah,
season.
on the budget that he has. And I know they've had bad runs, but like, what do West Ham fans expect? Like, what do they want their
I
team?
agree.
Where do they want their team to be?
I suppose, though, from their perspective, and I do agree they have treated him harshly, but I suppose from their perspective, they see he's taken this team as far as he can take them.
Yeah.
And they don't see him taking
where
them any
can they
further.
go?
It's West Ham are a big club. West Ham have quality players there. If they can retain some of those quality players, I think Paqueta is definitely going to City. But if they can retain most of those quality players, then with a decent manager, maybe somebody like Ruben Amorim they were talking about in the summer, West Ham can certainly get into Europa League or something next season.
But
They've potential
they've been
for
getting into Europa League with David Moyes.
I
This
think
is the thing.
they could definitely be victims of their own expectations. Somebody else could come in. They could be in a relegation battle next season.
That's
Suffer
what
badly.
happened with Bilic. They got kind of sick of him and his brand of football, and then they moved, and then suddenly they were in the shit, and David Moyes came and saved them. So
That
like,
could easily happen.
that
You take
happens.
Kudus, you take Bowen out of that side. You know, I'm not saying that's all it takes, but you know, all of a sudden they're not the team that they were last season.
So I think
This
we're all
season.
saying City to win
City will
league.
City will win by about 5 goals on Sunday, and there is absolutely no chance that they don't win that game, and 2 that they don't win it comfortably. As a Liverpool fan, praying on City to drop points on the last day is like hoping for the second coming of Christ. it's not going to.
I think it's going to go into half time 0-0.
No way.
I think so.
On 5-0. 5-0.
I do think City will win, but I don't think it's gonna. I don't think it's gonna be the whitewash that he says it is.
are we going to get another Aguero moment?
No chance. No.
So that's the title done, according to you guys anyway. Relegation is all but done. Nasty, you still have a chance, be it in the FA Cup and in the league. We are recording this on Wednesday morning, so we know you're playing Newcastle tonight. That's going to have a big say in who gets Europa League and Europa Conference League. Where do you want to finish now? Looking forward to next season, do you want to be in the Europa League, or would you prefer to be out of Europe altogether?
Well, I want to win the FA Cup, which essentially means we'd be in the Europa League. But being honest, I don't want European football at all. For me, at the stage we're in, I think we really need to put all our eggs into the league next season. And if we have this Thursday night football distracting us, it's not what we need. And honestly, if you gave me the choice, it might be an unpopular one. I would probably take the Conference League over the Europa League, just because the competition will be significantly lower and we have the opportunity just to utilise some squad rotation players, which we probably wouldn't do in the Europa League with some actual good teams in there. So I'm not saying that's what they would do if they were in the Conference League, but I think it would be wise to do that. But if you ask me, based on how I would like things to pan out, I would like us to win the FA Cup, which essentially gives us Europa League.
And Jonathan, how are you feeling on the lead up to Klopp's last game?
I mean, those pictures yesterday, those videos were really tough. Sunday is going to be really tough. Yeah, 90 minutes. The game is kind of irrelevant, really, on Sunday. His speech afterwards to the fans and stuff like that, just watching back at his farewells with Dortmund and Mainz. Yeah, Sunday's going to be really tough. I mean, this guy has made my life so much better over the last 9 years. Genuinely, we're not going to ever have a manager ever again like him. And yeah, it's just sad, but it probably, for him, it is the right time to go.
Do you think you're going to cry?
Yeah,
I can see
absolutely.
tears in his eyes now.
Absolutely.
He is tearing up,
Absolutely. Like, we were even talking about the City and Villa game there, and Liverpool and Wolves, funnily enough, on the last day as well. When Villa went 2-0 up in that game, I started crying because I felt, oh my God, we are actually going to do this. And then City scored 1, and then they got 2, and then they got 3.
The thing was with that, I remember that Liverpool were never actually top at any point that day because they were still drawn.
I know. And
Yeah.
people always say,
Yeah.
if we, like, Mane got an offside goal by about that, if we had actually went 2-1 up, people say it might have been different. I don't think it would have. City just have that dog in them, you know.
What has been your favourite Klopp moment over the last 9 years?
Are we talking about, like, individually Klopp, or just like a moment like where Liverpool won something, or
Give me both.
something like that?
I'm being greedy, John. Give me both.
I'd say Madrid 2019, when Klopp, Van Dijk, Henderson, all the players were so emotional after we won our sixth Champions League. I'd say that in terms of kind of like a Klopp/team moment. In terms of an individual moment, I'd say when he ran on the pitch against Everton after Origi's goal and just hugged Alisson. That was just, if there's one moment pure Klopp, that is it. There was also that moment as well last season against Spurs when Jota scored in the last minute and he went over to the fourth official and he pulled his hamstring. I mean, just brilliant. There's so many like memories, as I said to a couple of people over the last few days. Memories to last a lifetime. Genuinely, absolutely.
It's going to be a tough weekend for Liverpool. Let us know your thoughts in the comments. What is your favourite Klopp moment? And if you are watching, make sure to subscribe and give us a like. And follow the lads, Jonathan Morley 97 on Instagram and Jonathan Morley LFC on TikTok, and nasty_2K across all social media.